If you think about the Somali problem, it is actually one of many paradoxes, because we are probably the only country in Eastern Africa that has a common language, that has a common history, that has a common culture, and yet we fight over a country which is too large for all of us to live in and to live and govern.
Worldwide Somali students and professionals waxaan ka fikiraynay see Soomaaliya xagga caafimaadka uga caawin karnaa.
We are fighting over trivial issues. We have so much in common, and yet we focus on the things that divide us. Where we are from, regionally, what clan we're from, and these are the sort of things that really set us back.
Marka the vicious cycle of hay'adina sugan inaan caasina ka baxno waano.
And if we continue down on that path, the next 20 years will be exactly the same as the last 20. And so as youth, as people who are coming up now, we need to present a different vision of Somalia that says, although our forefathers have failed to unite, we don't look at clans.
Marka nicmadana fiiri dad dhalinyaro oo Soomaaliya oo different aspects of dadka Soomaalida inay caawiyaan inay isku imaadaan. Marka that's amazing.
And whilst the recent history of Somalia's 2 decades without a functioning state is all too familiar, this story is not about the past. It is a story about the future. It is an account of how, contrary to popular belief, the young generation is leading the cause to remake Somalia once again. It is about the struggles faced by a global network of activists, students, and professionals who realized that whilst they themselves had not known peace in their country for all of their lives, they had a responsibility to make sure that their children did not suffer the same fate. This is the story of a journey home. London is home to one of Europe's largest Somali communities. In the summer of 2010, a group of Somali students at University College, London's oldest and most prestigious university, got together to establish the first UCL Somali Society on the Bloomsbury campus. This society quickly grew in members, attracting students from nearby Westminster University, King's College London, and Queen Mary University to its events. The mission of the society was to provide a meeting place for Somali students at London's leading universities to meet, socialize, and take action together.
As a society, people, the past year has been hugely phenomenal for us because we've basically built a society from scratch, and here we are hosting events like this, hosting a charity for Dadaab. So we've done this, from scratch, and it's been testament to all of us coming together.
Conversations about what is happening back home are never far from their lips when they gather. But this generation of young Somalis are all too aware that if they are to avoid the fate of their fathers, they must find ways of bridging the divide rather than widening it through talk of politics and the fractious nature of the Somali clan system. Topics of conversations that are all too common among the older Somali male generation.
So obviously the word tribalism has quite a negative connotation to it, where it has become almost synonymous with the abuse of the tribal system, which is a system deeply rooted in the Somali society. I don't think the tribal system has only negative effects, but can also do good in that it creates a social safety net that no one is left without. Having said that though, today and probably for last couple of decades, tribalism has caused more damage than good. It has fractionated the Somali people back home, as well as those living in the diaspora. And due to this loyalty towards one's tribe rather than for the nation, it is difficult to unite the Somali people towards a shared common good, and that is a major obstacle. I think a lot of younger generation of Somalis are sick and tired of tribalism, and I think what is appealing to them with WSSP is that we have created a vision of a Somali society that is looking beyond tribal affiliation and define what it is that is actually uniting us, what we can achieve, what we can do and work together on, and I think that is a powerful message.
As much as it was a significant achievement to start this fresh, forward-looking society at UCL, the ambitions of these young men and women were much larger and focused on how they can work together to help their people and country get back on its feet. Worldwide, Somali students and professionals, or WSSP as it has come to be known, was the natural platform through which this could be done. With the advent of social media and the spread of the internet, they realized that if they could unite young people in London, despite regional, clan or familial differences, the same could be done around the world.
I think it's important to clarify that even though we were met with challenges, we were met with more enthusiasm, more motivation, more support than we ever anticipated. What started off as a dream ended up being a vision, and now we're trying to sustain our projects and see the fruit of our labour. Other challenges I would say were convincing the community to give their time, to give their skills, and the big one, to give money, because our projects obviously need money. They need to be sustained via money, and till today I think that's probably one of the challenges we're still facing, trying to sustain the project. Yes, we've started them off, but it will need the community to help sustain them, not just from community from London or from the other Western countries, but even the ones in Somalia. So what can we need to ask ourselves, how can we individually help Somalia, and also how can we help Somalia as a community?
The inevitable consequence of founding WSSP was always to make a difference through action. Among the very first things WSSP set out to do was to commission a survey of young people through its ambassador for Somalia. The aim of this exercise was to find out what the unmet needs within the country were, and how WSSP can mobilize its global network of members and supporters.
So we have many WSSP ambassadors around the world, such as US, Germany, Australia and Somalia, and the reason we have those ambassadors is that it gives us the opportunity to decentralize the responsibilities, and also we'll have a local voice and a local representative, WSSP.
In 2011, WSSP set out an ambitious 10-year goal to mobilize professionals in each of these areas: education, healthcare, and agriculture, and help make a difference on the ground. The first video to unveil WSSP and its mission, for the tentatively titled Operation Restore Home, went viral on YouTube and was quickly embraced by thousands of followers on Facebook.
The reaction to the video was something we didn't anticipate. It was a quick video that I recorded from, students at UCL and Westminster asking questions of what they will do when they go back to Somalia, or will they ever go back to Somalia. And I put that up, as an amateur video on YouTube. And within 7 days, 20,000 people viewed, asking questions. Okay, this is something that, giving us comments, telling us, sharing the video, liking the video on YouTube, sharing it on social media, and on Facebook, Twitter and other places. Emailing us and asking questions. Okay, this is something that I've been thinking about, because the video itself was talking about Operation Restore Home and how students and professionals and graduates will go back to Somalia and do something, when they graduate or when they have time to sort of volunteer back home.
Soon after unveiling Operation Restore Home, the group held a launch conference at UCL, which was attended by a large cross-section of the UK Somali community. But this would only be the beginning, as similar launch events in support of Operation Restore Home gained momentum in other locations with the large Somali diaspora communities such as Birmingham, Seattle, Minnesota, and Ohio.
This event today is in one part to introduce the Seattle Somali community to worldwide Somali students and professional organizations, and in another, to raise awareness and promote activism within our local Seattle community and in the global Somali community.
From the moment Operation Restore Home was first announced, it was clear that this was a huge undertaking for WSSP and its founding team. There were plenty of late-night meetings, many Skype conversations between individuals separated by huge distances. But despite all the planning and hard work, there was always the prospect of failure at the back of their minds. The first stop in the journey home was Hargeisa, a city known for its peace and relative progress over the past 2 decades. Dr. Abdighani has been given the responsibility of managing WSSP's education portfolio. A computer scientist by training, he has sought to partner with the Center for Education and Employment Research, or CEER for short, in an effort to build closer ties between professionals in the diaspora and institutions in Somaliland.
My name is Osman Warsame. I'm currently the Chief Executive Officer for Center for Education and Employment Research. It's a centre that has been established in the UK, but with the purpose of supporting institutions and students back home in the Horn of Africa. Our remit, initially started working in Hargeisa, but we're hoping to also do a roll-on program to roll out to other regions, hopefully.
An education conference was organized with the intention of fostering such closer ties. The conference brought together practitioners of various academic disciplines from the diaspora and within the country to discuss ways of improving access to quality education for all. The conference was one of the first of its kind to bring together members of the diaspora with Somalis at home.
So the conference brought together a number of academics, journalists, and also media to people who are involved in that sector, if you like, and also that diaspora. So it was a good opportunity.
In addition to the education conference, WSSP worked with CEER to put together an IT camp for students of computer science. The aim of the IT camp was to help students develop their computing and basic programming skills.
So the IT camp was a 7-day intensive course. First 3 days were spent lectures and seminars on some of the more fundamental aspects of computer science, and the last 4 days were about a competition. So our sponsors, World Remit, wanted an application, and as part of the competition we asked our students to build this application, and it was for a mobile phone, specifically the Android platform. So our students, none of them had any Android programming experience whatsoever, were taught how to program this, and in the space of 4 days they put together a fully functional application that was operating on a mobile phone. So there's a competition called the World Summit Award for mobile content, and what this competition is a way for countries to showcase the best mobile application that they have, and every single year countries like the UK, Ireland, China, Japan all showcase the best application, mobile application coming from the country, and they go to this event usually in Dubai or Abu Dhabi, and they show to the world what what their people are capable of doing. And so far Somalia and Somaliland hasn't had an application or an entry into this competition, and as a result of the students being able to build mobile applications, a group of them are going to submit something to this competition, and it's going to be the first time Somalia or Somaliland has had an entry in it. So
really
we're on the map, and there's a possibility that they could win $20,000.
Right.
And I think they have a strong chance.
Okay.
So.
Despite the fact that this work only scratches the surface of the many unmet needs in education, the success of this program illustrates the powerful role that Somali professionals can play in giving back to their people and helping to build confidence among younger generation Somalis. No one knows this better than Dr. Saeed, a UK-based physician by training. Dr. Saeed has been working to expand access to medical school by offering workshops and classes to aspiring Somali students living in the UK. At the same time, he has made annual visits to Puntland, where he has taught at a number of universities covering specialist courses in medicine that would otherwise not be available to students in Somalia. His most recent trip in 2012 was to East Africa University in Galkayo. In the healthcare arena, Somalia has many challenges. But it's also true to say that Somalia has a bright future ahead of itself. Record numbers of young people are now studying vital courses such as nursing and medicine within the country, and a sizable number of students have also taken up scholarships in places like Turkey, Pakistan, and China, to name but a few. The majority of these students will return to Somalia once their student visas expire, and there is hope that they will be the future leaders of the country. Agriculture is among the most important projects for Operation Restore Home. Somalia has one of the most fertile and arable lands in Africa. Its temperate climate and predictable seasons offer the perfect condition for farming. Yet, as recent history shows, droughts are common occurrences. In response to the droughts of 2011, WSSP established an iftar program where the organization mobilized its global network of members and supporters to provide food and support for up to 1,000 Somalis every day during the holy month of Ramadan. The same iftar program was repeated in 2012, and the organization plans to continue this program in future years. Mahmoud, who heads the agriculture project for WSSP, has written extensively about the many challenges that can be solved within agriculture if we can find the right people, training and equipment for the benefit of local Somali farmers. He's a trained agricultural professional and has worked extensively in the area of sustainable agricultural practices for many years. For a country that is as rich in natural resources as Somalia, WSSP believes that the future of Somalia is one where its people are able to feed themselves rather than relying on handouts. To do this, the team has devised an ambitious 10-year program that intends to repatriate knowledge and help to support local produce. At the heart of the program is a plan to establish a WSSP-run Center for Agriculture in Beledweyne, a region chosen for its suitability for farming and proximity to the Shabelle River. After meeting local traditional elders, WSSP was successful in securing the lease for the land that would host the Center for Agriculture.
si alla sidii suuragal ah ee wax qabadku u suuragali karaan ay ku soo dhaweyn ilaa idinka ku noqoto dhul baad maanta soo aragteen waxaan filayaa dhulku dhul idin anfacay u noqday
واساس كل شيء دوّاتا وعندكم هاد سنتين إلهي ما نينك أجرسين سببت تجعل عن واحد أجر كيرين يبقى أمضي الصومالي معلول بإمام بين وصورته لامي ما نسميني يقول حاجة لامي كسميني بلا يدوم بين وصمية مركب وحاول إلهي خير هاي نسي الله نينك أجرسي وناقنا الله يدكم بدلوا أنا وساس سبحان الله والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته وعندكم هاد سنتين
كسر دويني
أنا كسر دويني
عادي بقول كيف بقول إن دول كتيمات إن الوقبتان بقول كيف بقول بين كسر دوينينا وأنا إنكم هذينينا أنا قلنا وأبا هنا هاي دد ولا لا يماده قربك يماده دلك تشوج دلك مال جلي دتك قعنت قبته صوص صار الرزق دلك كتيره نو أبا هنا إذا دول كان أبا هي هدي مشين من هلا يعرف أي وعين قلنا ينول الدنك الرزق كستاب وكسب بحط وحن كإيماننا ملء بريسك سرينك مسجد الليل قراها يعني يلا بالك اللي يرى هذا بالمضى
Much work lies ahead for this vital pillar of Operation Restore Home. But with the necessary plans in place and the land to start the work now available, the future looks bright. With the seemingly many challenges facing Somalis at home, individuals from the diaspora must ensure that resources are spent where they are most needed. That is why WSSP has highlighted research to be a crucial pillar of Operation Restore Home. For a country where even the size of the population is a disputed number, the need for a reliable set of statistical data covering the three priority areas of education, healthcare, and agriculture takes on a whole new meaning.
So, with the data gathering, what we try to do is to identify what the needs are in Somalia. So when our various members went back to Somalia, they went to hospitals, they went to schools, they went to universities, and they assessed what the needs are in the country.
So in Hargeisa, we concentrated on the medical surveys. We visited a lot of hospitals in Hargeisa, also a lot of maternity health clinics, just to see what the needs were. Spoke with a lot of doctors. We got to really focus on the maternity health clinics and just speak with the women and the women doctors and also the patients. And it was a very different experience, just because when you visit a hospital in North America, they have all these equipment, and then you go to Somali and it's the very basic. Some of them don't even have blood pressure machines, or they'll tell you their needs are hospital beds and latex gloves and just the most simple things. So that was heartbreaking to see. But also
from that, we were able to identify what we can provide as WSSP to Somalia in the three priority areas of agriculture, healthcare, and education. So far, we've collected data from Mogadishu, from Garowe, Galkayo, Hargeisa, and also Beledweyne.
In Galkayo, we concentrated, me and Fatima did the educational surveys, and we got to visit all the secondary and primary schools in Galkayo. And so, once again, basic needs, pencils, papers, books, tables. They're desperately in need of tables. They would say that there's, on one table, there's 4 students sitting to where maybe 2 or 3 students should be sitting. And so I think that was their most desperate need.
The intention of collecting this data ultimately is to be able to have a map of the country where we can identify what the needs are, and we can match that need with the resources. The diaspora obviously has a lot of skills, a lot of knowledge, and we want to be able to target that into where it's most needed. If you think about the Somalia and the collapse of the Somali state, there hasn't been any meaningful census or any meaningful statistical data gathering done since 1991. And so without this information, we're essentially going into the blind and just sort of doing things according to our gut feeling. And we want to go from that situation to have actual hard data that says to us, this is where things can be most spent, this is where if we spend our resources and our money, we get the most benefit. And ultimately we want to share this data. We want to share it with aid agencies, we want to share it with active organizations who are working in Somalia, And we want to also share it with academic scholars so that they can benefit from this statistical data and hopefully use it to improve the situation in Somalia.
The final stop in the journey home was Mogadishu. Much has been said of the huge destruction and suffering that the residents of Mogadishu have been under since the early 1990s. There is no doubt that this suffering is real. But today, Mogadishu is a city on the way up. International flights have now resumed. Solar-powered lighting is common, and expats from Turkey are playing a vital role in the education and construction sectors of the city. Despite all of these visible signs of development, much work lies ahead for the capital. During their time in the capital, WSSP organized a major conference for students at the University of Somalia, where they met students from all disciplines and shared with them their vision and support.
wax walba cooperation iyo wada qab si diyaar ah idin nahay jaamacadina barnaamijyada meesha ka socdo dhan compatible macnaha dad wixii noo laga baahdo waa la helayaa insha Allah waxaan aad u faraxsanahay dhalinyaro inta waddanka yimaadeen inay wax qabtaan WSSB aad u wanaagsantihiin ugu horeyn waxa ugu muhiimsan waddan walba waxa uu qabto dhalinyaradiisa dhalinyarada hadday waddankiisa wax qabaan weysano مؤمنين أيضاً وقالوا يسترجع وهم سلسلة برنامج إيجابي ماذا غيرنا حياة agriculture healthcare education بس بحاجة فرح سنة هاي إن غيرنا سكسو دبردين ولا جربت أجنها هاي ما أنت جربت أجنها ما أنت جربت أجنها هاي لكن ما عندها حد يروح أنا هو ما عندي أبي سنسور ما عندي لا تكره بقول على الدنيا اللي يصير إن أنت صار لا تكره يسكت أقوى على ولاده
حرب هذا كأشكتين نسيحه كلي رنتي مانتي سوماليا هربوا مكرن دليل الصوماليات أربعتي مانت كشقين يسود مودن كهرمر أي جالسيسو دليل الصوماليات كل سجال بقرصياش إن يكون وحي كده بيوحلوا أديك سكر دجاله لكن مانت وحر نسيب إن مانت دليل الصوماليات سقوي مادي إن مودن كهرمر كده كشقيسو ودن كوليدين بعيه ودن والبنا وحوي وحرمرك جالسي وحوي دليلتي سواء ودن أنا دليل لهن معناه هرمر مجارو وحنو باقي أمرك دلنت دمانتد إن سد ديرسن أو وناسن أو قطعتان ولا هسي ولا لها أي نوكينا والله وحلا يوم هذا واحد دباتة دريمة يواني واحد دباتة وحكبرنا يواني واحد نقرحنا يواني إن أنا أن برادونا إيه أو هرش هذا سرقم وحويان إن دمانتد إن هو استغنوا إن صوماليا إن أنقنا يفتن عصب أو عصب بحر أو سياسيين هذا بدله لا كلي إن مدسين أنا كوي كان كلي إن حتى كان إن قدام دتكو جامل لها ودن كإن قدام وهدانا أنا ودنكو جامين مدحنا هو جامينه
وأي مرتبطين واحد بدشي حلو يلي واحد ما هم علم هي واحد يلي لها إلى أول نقطة هو بدش هذا ولا هذيك لو حد بدني معي أنا وانا سأنا مع هاي فرد مدير مشاكل ساس الحكومة ساس أحلى في عام هاي وقمر لكن هي حكومة قفطة من حاجات توسية لنا وهذيك وأنا وأقاطع إسكاشتها أو إسكو حيرانتها أو أيقو تلويات سماية أو أيقو سمنا حنا نتابع هيك الدولية وحكي بضاعة تشتري وقتها ومسؤول دويني دويني تسبيح ومرتمات النوع إن شاء الله مالك تجدونه الوقت يقولون آل العلسي هذا سفر إلى قرار وربا إلى والله الحياة إلى نتجا.
Despite the many difficulties facing the Somali people, the hope in the eyes of these young people is a source of motivation for all who have gone on this journey and for the countless more who hope to make it one day.
Just getting to know the locals and getting to know the people and reconnecting with my family. And when you're in Somali, you finally feel like you're at home. Everybody around you is Somali, the language, the culture. It's just, you kind of reconnect with yourself. And so I think even apart from WSSP, I myself, I gained a lot and grew a lot. So I think think the diaspora does play an important part, but sometimes we need to remember not playing the savior complex. So really what I liked about the IT camp was empowering local youth to take on initiatives on themselves. So it's not us from the diaspora coming in and doing all the work, but more people back home, so people from Mogadishu, Galkayo, and Hargeisa really working on fixing the whole country together. It's like we work hand in hand.
قف كسئنت فديو مسؤولية صار طالب علم ما تهاي إلى يوم قيامة وضعي علم جامتك صبرت محا كو استعمال شيء ولي ويدينا واجب إنه تمام كان جنين برنا كان برنا أخطر منه كان برنا وإحنا قد صمال ما تحلو بها أكيد يا رب هذا كي عبد السورية يعني تقول حسن اللي بها
لكن ده كان واحد برتسدين وديفلوب جرين كمان سدين مجتمع سوداء سدين انتجريشن وسمين كنا عقو سمين كنا أرديدي نسول أجتينا ولا نات تبغى كلتونا برتين ميديسين دكتور ما يكون جنا ميديسين كيو حالي وكاجد لو يرد جايتي برتوما أوكي ميديسين قريب كم إذا وكاجد سيدو يسوما أوكي ما كنا في من لهان السوداء هيسن for example أنا توريزم برتين إلى هذا توريزم برتوما ما كنا رأيات هاي توريزم برتين يا كسيتها hospitality ينكا يا كسيتها hotel management ينكا يا كسيتها duty ما معناها قفك professional كسينو كأكترس it makes sense مرة ماشي كبحكي traditional كميشوس يلا ضياش أنه هاي لكن ده كان professional that we have to make it in a professional كلينو أنا سؤال هتسألنا ده professional سأقفل بتخصص كيسة وبرت.
Would I ask any of the diaspora members to go to Somalia? Yes, most definitely. We need to revisit. Somalia is not going to pick itself up. We all collectively need to go back to Somalia and see what we can do. And to be honest, even though people have told me, oh, it's dangerous, especially the city that you're going to, I actually found it to be, in a way, a lot more secure than what is put out there in the media. You know, there's a lot of hope, there's a lot of progress.
I would say to go back home. It's not scary. Don't listen to the media, and especially if you have family or friends, it makes it a whole lot easier to go back home.
For a generation who has spent most of their lives outside Somalia, it is remarkable how the young Somalis of today have organized themselves and taken up the challenge of rebuilding their country. Their success has shown that whilst many in the country still ascribe to the perils of tribalism, people who love their country have no boundaries and can work with one another despite where they are from. The key lesson from this journey home is that Somalis can only move forward together. Operation Restore Home has a long way to go before we can see the fruits of its labor. But if we have achieved this much in 16 months, how much more can we achieve in 3 years, 5 years, or even 10 years of sustained effort such as this?